New Mexico is increasing childcare subsidies that are already the most generous and broadly available in the United States. Thanks for joining us, Secretary Gruginski. New Mexico instituted these policies, different policies last June that brought down childcare costs for low and middle income families. These new waivers are going to help families lower those costs even more. Who's eligible for these waivers and how much could they save?
Thank you, Lou. And the families who are eligible for this waiver are families who are working or going to school and need help paying for childcare up to 400% of the federal poverty level. For a family of four, that's $111,000 annual in gross income. So what we've done is we have said the cost of childcare is out of reach for most families. And so we have waived parent co-payments now until next year. And again, under Governor Lujan Grisham, we hope to make universal access to universal early care and education available to all families in New Mexico who need it.
How would you go about doing that? You said that you hope to do that in the future. What would that look like?
You know, we're going to need to continue to make the investments in New Mexico families and into the childcare providers who support them. We know that in New Mexico right now, we have many communities where there is not enough available care for the families who need it, especially for infants and toddlers and even school-age children. So while we continue to support the families now who have access and are using childcare, we also announced last week that we are going to help build more supply of childcare across the state.
Great. How did you determine the income eligibility levels for the subsidies?
We looked at, last year we extended the eligibility up to 350% and families could stay on that assistance until 400%. But the governor said, no, we need to do more for families now, and families at those levels still need help. I mean, childcare for an infant in a high quality center costs $1,500 a month. Most families can't afford that. So our ability to use our federal relief dollars and under Governor Lujan Grisham's leadership to say, this is a critical support that families need right now in New Mexico so they can take those dollars and invest them in their family, build their own family wealth, maybe build towards buying a home, supporting their child in other ways. So we're very happy that we could make this announcement and make this change for families in New Mexico.
Yeah. Now, as you mentioned, the federal COVID-19 relief money, that's where a lot of this funding is coming from. That runs through July. What happens after that?
The relief dollars that we're using actually are available to New Mexico until September 30th, 2024. We have right now just said, let's take this the next year at a time and see how many families need the assistance. And we hope that these dollars will extend as long as till September of 2024. But we will at least continue waiving parent co-payments until June of 2023.
Okay. Yeah, I have that here. Another expansion started May 1st, runs through June 2023, waiving child co-pays for households at 4 times the poverty line. You mentioned that, and it had previously been 350. That caught my eye, just 400 times, or 4 times, I should say, the poverty line. Is the poverty line too low? Does that make this difficult, or do you just calculate those regardless?
Yeah, I mean, I think we think that the poverty line is too low. And so, families making $111,000 of gross income, having to pay $22,000 a year for their infant to receive care, that is not sustainable. That is going to put them behind in being able to save for their housing, for other things that they can do to support their family's long-term growth and development. So we believe that this investment is critical. We want to sustain these kind of investments in New Mexico families. Governor Lujan Grisham really knows that when families struggle to find care or to pay for care, that puts stress on the family, that puts stress on the relationships. And we know that when there's stress in a family, in a home, that impacts the development and the overall well-being of the young children, but also of the family as a whole. So these are the kind of policies that put families and children at the center.
Understood. Now, how can people acquire these copay waivers? Do they have to seek them out themselves? Is there an outreach program or some sort of automatic mechanism in place?
Great question, Luke. We have childcare assistance offices all over the state. They can also go to our website and click on Am I Eligible? And right there, families can fill out the application, provide documentation, and somebody will follow up with them to, make sure that all the paperwork is in. You still do have to be working or in school, and how much care you get access to is driven by how much you need. So we're excited to be able to offer that. We're also going to be holding enrollment fairs around the state. May 14th and May 21st. We'll be releasing some of that information so families can come to those sites, get enrolled, have their eligibility determined, and start getting assistance, real money back in their pockets to support their families in other important ways.
Okay. Now, do you have an estimate on exactly how many families this expansion would cover, like a number?
We're estimating around 30,000 families across New Mexico could benefit. We're seeing, I just talked to the staff today, we had 500 applicants come into the MI eligible just this past week. So that's exciting. We know there's families right now enrolled in childcare that are struggling to make those payments and are considering whether I have to pull my child out of childcare or how am I going to juggle because I don't know that I have the resources. So we're hoping that they're going to learn about this and they're going to come in and get the assistance they need. And we're also excited that because we're the only state in the nation that has based our childcare rates on what it costs to deliver that care, that our childcare providers are going to have the revenues they need to focus on quality, to focus on their staff, and to paying their staff commensurate with the value that they're giving to the children and the families and into our communities across the state.
Now, we're seeing staffing issues in a wide range of fields in New Mexico. I mean, you name it, they're probably short-staffed. And last week's announcement also expanded grants to childcare centers, subsidy to childcare workers, pursuing professional training. Does the state need more of these workers too?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Early childhood educators are in high demand, and that's why we also released the student success application to our higher education institutions so that students enrolled in their early childhood teacher prep programs, their infant family studies programs can get access up to $2,000 per semester in FY22 and in the fall of 22 and the spring of 23 to support things like transportation, rent, other costs that early childhood educators have as they're trying to work full-time and also go to school. So we're excited, again, using federal relief dollars to enhance, help accelerate, hopefully, their completion of their AA or their bachelor degree in early childhood.
Great, great. Thanks so much. It sounds like great stuff. Thanks, Secretary Gruginski, for your time and your information.